So this, I want to talk a little bit, especially to the young women out there. Um, I had, I guess it was, oh my goodness, May of 1997. I was driving in my car. I left the Nifty office, and I was driving, and I saw this really handsome guy. He was about 2 blocks away, and maybe a block away, and there was a bomb scare, and no one would let him into traffic. And he was waiting in his car in valet parking, and no one would let him in. Traffic was completely standstill. So I pulled up and I smiled and I motioned for him to go in front of me. And he kind of pulled and wiggled into the middle lane. And then he stopped and unrolled his window. And that man's my husband of 10 years. I want to talk, though, about, running a nonprofit, being a social entrepreneur, being a passionate executive. A lot of times I didn't see myself married. I didn't see myself having a family, but I met Mark, and he was so family-oriented that I got the vision and realized you shouldn't sacrifice things that are really important to you in your life, and that you have to figure out you're always going to be juggling. You're always going to be juggling in life, and some balls are made out of rubber, and some balls are made out of glass. You got to figure out in your life, what are your rubber balls and what are your glass balls? On September 11th, 2001, it was my 33rd birthday, and I was walking into 120 Wall Street for a conference in New York City. And I got up the elevator and got a phone call, and it was my husband. It was like urgent. A plane just hit the World Trade Center. And I thought he meant one of those little prop planes, 2 people. But I did not realize it was a commercial airline. And just as he was saying that, I ran and we turned on the TV in our conference room. And then we didn't just see, we heard the other plane hit just less than a quarter mile actually away. And I looked out the window, and there was just charred papers flying everywhere. And that whole day we struggled with whether to leave the building. Planes were hitting buildings. We could see the World Trade Center burning from our office. And it was just an incredible day I will never forget. But the next day I was on the train coming back to Washington, and my clothes were still covered with dust and dirty from walking out of the downtown Wall Street area up to, luckily my parents had a house apartment. They weren't there, but on the Upper West Side, so I was able to stay there overnight. And I looked in the mirror, and I had my little, in my purse, my makeup bag, and I don't know if I should say this on camera, but I threw out my birth control pills that day. And I realized nothing's more important than your family. When push comes to shove, nothing is more important than your family. And we had Justine about 14 months later, and she's 7 now. But it was a real wake-up call.